Appreciate it.
And now, here's Tom O'Brien.
Welcome, folks. This is Tom O'Brien of TFNN. Well, 5 days a week, we go 2 hours a day. We go 24 hours a day on the internet at TFNN.com. Always remember, folks, whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows. Hope everyone had a great day, safe day. Let's make it a great night, folks. Let's take a look at one of our 4 agreements. Create new agreements based on love and respect. Take the responsibility to make new agreements with those you love. If an agreement doesn't work, change the agreement and create a new one. Use your imagination to explore all the possibilities. Market-wise, let's take a look at it out here. We had the Dow down 519, Nasdaq off 101, S&P's down 51, gold contract up $49, trading at $1,007.92.50 an ounce. It hit over 18. It hit 18.01 today. Silver up $1.48 at $39.36. Platinum up $14, trading out at $1,768 an ounce. Copper down 7 pennies at $3.89 a pound. Light sweet crude up $2.15, trading out at $81.45. Bonds up $1.22, trading out at $138.28. Dollar index up 14 ticks at 74.87. Euro down 18 ticks at 141.86. Yen down 11 at 76.85. Our phone number is 877-927-6648. Give us a call, folks. Want to know what's going on in your world. In the world of the S&Ps, let's take a look at them. What do you have out here, folks? Another day, bottom line, volatility in spades. S&P out here today. We get down to a price point of 11.18. Yet the lows of yesterday, folks, well, here, first off, you got to get to the 8th. The lows of the 8th was 11.19.28. Yesterday lows, what you had out here, were 11.01. Today we're at 11.020. You do 2.1 billion shares versus 2.4 billion. And when we take a look at this baby, pressing bottoms, yes, no doubt pressing bottoms. We'll come back with the S&P in a second when we go through the Dow Industrials, and I'll actually bring up the SPY so you can see what it's doing with the volume characteristic inside it. We take a look at the Dow Industrials. What happens with the Dow is this. Dow comes down 519 points, closes under the 8th, which was August 8th, closes into the lows of yesterday. Yesterday we got 10,600. We do 3.3 billion versus 3.8. NASDAQ composite. We take a look at the composite. What you have with the composite is this. Composite is down 101. What the composite was doing is this. Now the composite is the stronger of the indices. The NDX 100 is still the stronger of all of them. With the composite, what you have is this. Composite, we get to 2357 on the 8th. We're at 2381. You do 3.3 billion versus 3.8, so you have 500 million shot. The lows on the composite yesterday were 23.21. You're $50 off of that. It's showing that is also the strongest indice inside all of these indices. Okay, so now let's go back to the SPY. We go back to the SPY, we take a look at the SPY. This is what you have in the SPY. What the SPY has done is this. The SPY coming back on the 8th first off is that the 8th we went to 112.02. You did that with 702 million shares. Yesterday you make a bottom out here at 718 million shares. You're pushing into that with 573. That's on your daily. We take this and we'll put this on the intraday chart, and what you're going to see is this. Is that the spike that we had down at 220 rather yesterday, which when the initial Bernanke statement came out, you had 54 million shares trading in it. We made the bottom with 44 million shares trading in it. We came into that at the close today with 42 million. That's still saying that that bottom is holding. That's on the SPY. That's on the SPY. We go take a look at the diamonds, okay? And the reason we're doing this with the ETF structures is this, folks, is that what you have, of course, right with them if you're watching Tiger TV, what you're going to see is that you can see the volume characteristic with it. So on the diamonds, what you had, the first get-go down at 240 was 2.3 million. The low was 2.6 million. You came into that with 2.3 in the diamond. So you can see that the Dow is the weakest characteristic. Now let's go over to the 3 Qs. We take a look at the 3 Qs. What you have, different animal. Absolutely a different animal, and this is what it is. The 3 Qs, folks, the downdraft from 240 had 16 million shares. The low out there was 50.82. That's the first downdraft. The actual low on the Qs was 49.93 with 12.9 million. When we came back into that today, it did 5.8. What that is saying flat out, number one, it's saying that this bottom is here. It's also saying that, yeah, it's testing over and over again, but it's also saying that the Qs are where you want to be. The NASDAQ 100, folks, is the strongest index out there. If we go take a look at Cisco, Cisco just came out with numbers. Let's see what they're going to say. Okay, so the estimate on Cisco was 38 cents. They made 40 cents. Bottom line estimate. Top line estimate, the gross is 10. The estimate was 10.9 billion. They took in 11.2 billion. Cisco closed at 13.73. Right now, it's trading at 14.07. Overseas. Let's go overseas and take a look at overseas because this started again overseas, no doubt. You had the CAC Carro was off 5%. The DAX was off 5%. FTSE was off 3%. And the DAX, folks, is the number. And with that, I suspect what that number is all about is that it's the German banks that are on the hook for the rest of Europe. And that's what you're seeing out here. And you're seeing it in spades, too. In our own banking sector, the XLF, if we take a look at that XLF, I was down 91 cents today. XLF is pressing lows, and it is pressing those lows with some juice behind it. So that's going to be, that low, looks to me, on the XLF will get tested, that 1204. That little baby does want to get tested. We go to look at some of the high-volume stocks out here today, and this is what you had. BAC was down 83 cents. You had Microsoft off $1.38. Citigroup was down 3.33. We'll come back to Citigroup in a second. We had Comcast down 93 cents. Now, what's interesting is that the Disney, let's go over to Disney for a second. What you had with Disney, now, Disney came out with numbers last night. Numbers were good numbers. Bottom line is that they took Disney apart today. Disney had opened, gap down, $3. The volume is extraordinary. We hit 29.60 at the lows out here. And what that is all about, folks, is that that's all about a situation that they are basically, it's about ad dollars and it's about losing subscriptions. That's what it comes down to. And evidently what's going on is that, of course, the younger people that are out there, well, you know what, the bottom line is that they're not using paid television as other generations were using it. There's no two ways about it. Why? Because it's all about the internet. And that's what's been happening with Comcast also, by the way. What you have with Comcast, this was the first time that they're losing some heavy numbers in their subscription revenue. So that's something that you definitely want to keep your eye on, because the dynamic, folks, that is inside viewing is absolutely changing. Now, let's go over to the gold contract. Gold out here today makes the run. That run that it made out here, folks, there she is. Okay, so the run that we made out here, we got to 1801. You did 275,000 contracts. Bottom line is that there's no two ways about it. It keeps pressing highs out here. It keeps getting a new high each and every day. And then after it gets a new high, you have a sell-off. It comes right back up top side. If we go take a look at the GLD, the GLD, of course, is the Street Tracks Trust. Yesterday you had that high out there of 173.15. Right now you're at the 174.58 mark. Bonds, we go to the 30-year bond. 30-year bond out here up 1.5 points out here today. We did 572,000 contracts. That is going into, yesterday we did 595,000 contracts. That high out there does want to get tested. That high is 139.27, which is pretty amazing. And that was the spike high that was out there yesterday. That's what does want to get tested in the marketplace. Let's go back to Cisco and see what Cisco's saying. With Cisco, what Cisco will do, that's been a dead stock, no doubt. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see. So they beat their numbers, but does that mean anything? Their gross margin, that's a big gross margin. Okay, their gross margin, so check this out. Gross margin is 62.68% versus 62.03%. The day sales outstanding stayed the same, $38, 38 days. Their inventory turn was a bigger inventory turn, 11.4 versus 10.3. They did buy back 95 million shares in the fourth quarter, and we'll see what they end up saying in their call. There's really not a huge amount of action out there. It's trading at $14 right now, but at least they did make their numbers. We go take a look at good old Goldman Sachs. Now, Goldman Sachs, folks, got hammered out here today, big time. In Goldman Sachs, if you look at Goldman Sachs, what you have is this. Goldman Sachs is trading at 110 right now. That 110 level does bring you all the way back to April of 2009, and that's on a technical basis. And that little baby does want to get down to $79, and that $79, 22 point, we'll see whether that holds or not. That is the highs of the lows on the... Actually, this is interesting. Okay, so check this out. I just put this on a monthly basis for Goldman Sachs. Now, the high bar of the low, which was established in November of 2008, folks, on Goldman Sachs is 98.25. So you're at $110. That's going to be able to hit that there pretty easy, because they have a whole feast of allegations on their plate, and a few of them are pretty large. The one of them out there this morning in the Journal was an allegation that this had been out here before, but that Libya and Gaddafi, they lost $1 billion in an option trade, and they basically, what the Journal was saying is that they very well may be in the soup there, because they, under the Foreign Aid Act, they very well gave a refund back on a bad trade, and that would be against the law. Not for the refund, but for doing business with Libya. This is Tom O'Brien. This is TFNN. You stay right there, folks. We're coming right back.